Great, welcome along. This is the second webinar of the Bricks&Logic 6-part series for estate agents. My name is David Keller. I'm the head of sales for Bricks&Logic, and I'm really pleased to have you joining us today. As before, over the course of this series, we're going to explore some of the challenges that estate agents are facing in today's market. More importantly, share practical strategies, insights that you can take away and apply to your own businesses. Before we get started, just a couple of quick housekeeping points. The session will be recorded and is being recorded. We'll leave some time at the end for any questions, but if you do have any questions in the meantime, just add it to the Q&A and we can get to them at the end. Good. So, as I mentioned, this is the second webinar of our 6-part series, Growing Your Estate Agency, Winning More Listings. Throughout this series, we will cover practical strategies to help you generate more business, win more listings, build stronger relationships with vendors, and stand out in a very competitive market. So take a look at the upcoming sessions and make sure you register for the rest of the series. So today's session, overvaluing wins the business, wins the listing, but loses the sale and your reputation. Overvaluing may help win instructions in the short term, but it often leads to longer sales cycles, price reductions, lost trust, and damages your reputation. The agents who consistently win today are the ones who know how to communicate the market clearly, confidently, and credibly. In this webinar, we'll discuss the real impact of unrealistic pricing expectations and how to use market data to guide vendors toward informed decisions without losing rapport. We'll cover practical communication frameworks, ways to challenge pricing objections professionally, and how to use data storytelling instead of opinions to strengthen vendor trust and improved outcomes. So, in a widely cooling market, this is a very relevant topic right now because overvaluing is often treated as a sales problem, when actually it's really a pricing, an expectation management, and a communication issue. The agent who promises 600K to win the instruction, when the evidence clearly suggests maybe 550K, they may win the listing, but they haven't necessarily won the seller or the fee. Winning the instruction is not the same as winning the business. So, why do agents overvalue? Is it the fear of losing the instruction? Is it competition from other agents? Sellers' unrealistic expectations? The desire to tell people what they want to hear? Pressure on business income and listing targets? Is it the lack of confidence in presenting honest market evidence? Is it the let's try it and see mentality? Maybe it's all of the above. But what does overvaluing actually cost? Let's discuss the difference between the two. Overvalue, you get fewer viewings, little or no offers, price reductions, you're chasing the market down, property becomes stale, the seller loses confidence, the agent relationship deteriorates, and eventually it sells for less, if at all. But let's compare that with a correct valuation. We get a stronger launch. We get more interest. We get more buyer competition, more offers. There's a stronger chance of a sale. More importantly for you guys, there's more chance of you being paid and faster. The key point, valuation isn't about predicting the highest possible price. It's about identifying the most realistic price at which the market currently demands. I was an estate agent for a long time myself, and this has always stayed with me. A property will always sell in any market as long as it's priced right. So let's look at some of the battles that you're going to have. There's always going to be one battle, and that one battle is another agent. The question you've got to ask yourself is the vendor going to be your second battle? Sellers don't necessarily want an agent who gives them the highest valuation. Vendors want an agent who can clearly explain and demonstrate their story and their pricing. The issue is the realistic agent hasn't normally done enough to justify the correct price over the unrealistic agent. So why wouldn't the vendor want to try a higher price? So now I'm going to show you how our Bricks&Logic partners help overcome these battles using our platform. But it actually starts right at the beginning of the valuation. So when our agents are booking in a valuation, whether that's on a phone call, whether that's one of the negs, whether that's themselves, the first thing you can do to help that future conversation is build early credibility and trust. So some of the things our agents do because of the access to the data they've got, when they're on the phone, they're booking the valuation, they're researching the property, they're showing their credibility and their knowledge. They're saying to the vendors, oh, you're a 5-bed terrace property on the left-hand side. You're the white property. Is that right? Already you're showing your credibility, your knowledge and strength within your market. So you're already building up that trust. Have a conversation with the vendor. Ask more questions. And that's what our agents do. Do we know what they're going to value? You've confirmed that it's maybe a 5-bed terrace. Is that still the case? Have they altered the property? If so, let's make sure we've changed that description. Ask questions. Let's ask the vendor, what is their opinion on price? You're not always going to get that answer. But again, what you're doing there is you're not getting the figure that you want to tell them, just basically regurgitate to them. You're getting their expectation on price. You're working out, are you going to have a potential battle on your hands? Another one. Do we ask the reasons for selling? Find out the motivation. If we can find out the reason that a vendor is selling, then suddenly the conversation doesn't become about price. It becomes about the move and the journey. Ask them, what's more important? So it's becoming a conversation now about the journey, not just the price. And that's not the focal point, which is good. I'll tell you what our agents do. They start to build further credibility and further trust. How do they do that? They do that with a pre-valuation report. So before they've even been to see the vendor, we've already had a really nice in-depth question about their price, their property. We've gone one step further. Our agents will send a nice introduction report. And that introduction is not only just building that relationship between themselves and the potential client by telling them a little bit about their business and maybe who's coming out to value the property. It's also giving them some real insight with other people's experience with their business. So whether that's a really nice marketing video, whether that's a marketing video of people's real experiences, whether that's maybe some Google Trustpilot reviews, nothing sells your business like other people's great experiences. So again, what this is doing, it's building that trust before you've really had that face-to-face conversation. You're demonstrating your credibility as a business. Furthermore, this is a step that you'd be surprised that not a lot of agents will do. A lot of agents will just book their valuation, turn up on the appointment. So again, what you're doing, you're showing these clients that you are already going above and beyond your competition. If you're willing to put this much work in early, how hard are you going to work for them when it comes to selling their property? And it's those subtle differences. More importantly, with the report, you're showing them that you've got all of the correct information on their property, the conversation that you had confirming that property description, showing that you've already listened and that you've got access to that relevant data. The interactive heat maps. This is fantastic, and it's fantastic for any vendor, but maybe especially those ones where you've already established that you're going to have to really communicate that pricing and manage their expectations. What this does is it shows your potential customers what's happening in the real life market. So you may have seen these maps last week, but again, it allows you to really just show your vendors what is happening, really interactive, really simple, but without you saying a word. What this is suddenly starting to do is manage your clients' expectations on the market. It's showing them that you've got access to the live data. And again, it's really kind of helping you back up your story. So that report is really going to help you before you even get to the appointment. Evidence, it beats opinion. Our live heat maps. Our live heat maps are absolutely fantastic when you are sat with a vendor. Again, it doesn't become a conversation about price. It doesn't become a battle. You're then having a conversation about just what the local market looks like. You're subtly managing expectations. You're demonstrating your expertise above other agents that are going out to potentially see this vendor. So let's show them what the market's doing, where they may be looking to buy. I said at the start of this, let's make sure that we don't just focus on the property and the listing itself. Let's encompass the journey, their move. What are they doing? If they are buying on, let's show them what the market's doing there. So again, maybe we will look at a vendor that's looking to sell and buy in London. So potentially maybe you're going out to a vendor who's looking to sell in Camden. You can see over the last 12 months, the market's declined, anything up to about 6% potentially, depending on where you are. That's going to be a difficult conversation. But what if we frame it differently? What if we just say to this vendor, well, look, appreciate maybe the market isn't where you want it to be right now. But that doesn't mean that you can't make the move work. Where are you looking to move to? Even if it's a completely different area that you are not used to as an agent, because it's a different part of the country, you're going to have access, just like our agents, to the relevant live market data. Maybe they're moving down into the South Coast. Well, look, Mr. and Mrs. Vendor, don't worry about it. The market in Canterbury, as an example, is also cooling down. So vendors' expectations are also going to have to be realistic there. But what you're suddenly then doing is you're showing yourself as an agent that you're not just caring about their price, you're caring about getting them moved from into their new home. There's an emotional driver behind it. You're showing yourself to be very different to any other agents, and you're not just there to win the business and tell them a figure just to get their house on the market. Can we make your clients feel confident that this is now a realistic opportunity for them to be able to move? Are you now alleviating their concerns? And again, what you're doing here, we've not even discussed the figure, we're building more trust. They're more confident in you because of the evidence that you're providing them and the conversation that you're having with them. But once you've had the conversation about the market, and once you've started to manage their expectations even more, we do need to start talking about that price, and it's how we deliver it. And again, it needs to be around evidence. So reaffirm everything you've discussed with them. Our agents then go through a nice detailed report, which are all tailored. But again, reaffirm why they should work with you. Demonstrate other people's experience with your business. Demonstrate and reaffirm their own property, the description. Make sure that you've got everything right. They're happy that you've got the descriptions right. Because then when you start to discuss sales values, you need to be confident in the way you deliver it. The worst thing you can ever do is just say, I think your house is worth X. So think about the vocabulary that you use. Think about the comparables that you demonstrate. In this industry, a lot of agents will quickly go to many of the portals, demonstrate what other agents are selling. And I get why. And there might be very limited comparables, so you might have no choice. But don't forget about what you've sold, whether that's live or in the past. Be your own go-to comparable analysis. Demonstrate your own comparable strength. Show what you've sold that's similar within the market, similar to that property. Because what that's doing is a number of things. You're not only demonstrating that you've sold lots of properties, you've sold lots of properties that are similar to theirs. You're also showing your strength in your market and actually how many other vendors have trusted you over the competition as well. So make sure when you're building your comparable analysis, go for everything you've ever sold as well and stuff that is comparable before going elsewhere. So we've been through the comparables. We've had a really nice open conversation about the market. We've delivered evidence after evidence after evidence. We now need to deliver the price. As I said a moment ago, think about your vocabulary, how you communicate that. Do not say, I think your house is worth $550 or whatever the price is. Conversation, it needs to become a conversation. So, for example, based on the information I've provided you, I believe the evidence points to a price of X. Pose them a question. Do you agree? Yes or no? If you got a yes, you're on for a winner. You're probably going to get a no a few times as well. You're going to get that vendor that says, well, the other estate agency, they've told me they can get £20,000 more. Don't be so quick to defend your figure. Bring the conversation back to evidence again. Okay, so don't make it confrontational. Say, fine, I understand that, but tell that vendor that you can only demonstrate the price you feel confidently that you can defend and obviously communicate to that client. Ask them, what did the other agent show to back up their figure? 9 times out of 10, it'll either be something completely irrelevant and not comparable, or nothing at all, and they've just pulled a figure out. So again, it just helps back up that evidence strategy. You're bringing the conversation back to evidence rather than it being confrontational and a difference of opinion. Tell the vendor, I completely understand why you want to achieve X. My concern isn't whether we can put the property on the market for that figure. My concern is whether the market currently supports it. Be honest, I'd rather have a conversation with you today about price than the same conversation in 6 weeks when you've had no interest. They're difficult, tough conversations, but they're the right conversations. If you don't get that business, is it business potentially that you want? Is it going to cost you more? And I'll come on to that in a moment. It's a powerful conversation because you become across as an advisor rather than a salesperson. You're going to have those vendors that are going to push you and say, can we test the market? Yeah, we can put it on at X. What happens? Well, the market does tell you what it thinks, but it can take weeks, it can take months to do so. And by that point, you've lost your first wave of buyers. You've lost momentum. You've reduced the property's price to the original listing to price, meaning you're already chasing the market down. You've damaged the seller relationship. And again, you're already chasing the market down to the price they should have listed. So the key takeaways from this session, when you're delivering price, to wrap things up: be confident, know your numbers, trust your evidence, and back up your evidence. Clarity, explain the valuation rather than simply presenting a number. Back it up. Make it a conversation. Have the difficult pricing conversations before taking the instruction. Do you want that listing that isn't going to sell and ultimately cost you money? Always good to think about. And consistency. Use the same evidence-led process on every valuation. Then your results will be the same. That's it from me. That's a wrap. Any questions, Ellie?
No, doesn't look like it at the moment.
Fine, good. Okay, well, look, guys, I hope you found that session useful. If you want to reach out to us, there's the email, contact@bricksandlogic.com. We can take you through an individual demo, show you our into really utilizing the platform to overcome these situations right now. It's a difficult market, and we'd love to talk to you. And hopefully we'll see you all next week. Thank you very much.